Good morning, Devils fans. It is finally game day once again as we have a 7:30 start tonight versus the Boston Bruins. Now, I kind of mentioned it yesterday, Zacha is going to be out for this one, and so is McAvoy, and Boqvist is getting the call-up. So, missing out on one reunion, getting another, but also, Bruins are going to be missing one of their best players in McAvoy, their best defenseman, and arguably one of the best defensemen in the NHL. So, that is a huge plus for us. Digging into some of the numbers for the Bruins, they are surprisingly not that great. Obviously, they are doing phenomenally well, and that should probably be entirely credited to their goalies, both of whom are absolutely crushing it so far this season. It really doesn't matter which one we get, they are both playing fantastically. Their 5-on-5 numbers are just good enough to buoy them, where their goalies can do a lot of that heavy lifting, and they have the high elite scoring talent in Pastrnak, and somewhat to the extent as well with Marchand this year again, that they can win games. Really, Pasta does a lot of the heavy lifting. Marchand does supplement that fairly well. And then it's a pretty big drop off after that. I mean, McAvoy and Zacha, I believe, are fourth and fifth on the team in scoring, so they're missing both of them. Charlie Coyle has been doing fairly well this season. Frederick puts up some numbers. Van Riemsdyk is kind of middling as well there. But really, it's Pasta and Marchand do a lot of the heavy lifting. Coyle is a beneficiary of that. And then Zacha and McAvoy supplement that as well. So missing those two is going to be a huge hit to their team. But you can't ever ignore Pasta. He can literally just one-man take over a game. So really, this might be an interesting one. I actually would maybe predict somewhat lower scoring, although I have felt like we're going to have some higher scoring games that turned into lower, so I'm going to say lower, and it's probably going to end up being a high scoring game, but I'll stick my flag in the ground on that one. I think it will be lower scoring because the Boston Bruin goalies are going to keep them in it while we have the better of the chances. Pasta is elite scoring enough, and our goalies are not to that caliber where I think we are going to fully shut them down between him and Marchand. And always when there's injuries, some depth guy steps up and puts in some sort of goal against some sort of broken play that never should have happened in the first place, but it always seems to. So probably maybe, hopefully looking at a 4-2 win for us tonight. Their penalty kill is best in the league. Our power play is still best in the league, although it has been slumping lately. Still a pretty good one, but slumping compared to where it was earlier in the season nonetheless. Lines did get shaken up at practice yesterday. Timo is back up with Jack and Toffoli. Hopefully that can get Timo revving up and back into the swing of things. Obviously the Nico line was not touched. Haula back from injury is with Mercer and Holtz. They did line up with Mercer at center and Haula at wing. I could see that being somewhat fluid in the responsibilities on the ice. I was calling for Haula, Mercer, Holtz as a line. Coaching staff is throwing Mercer at center there. I technically would have Haula at center there. I think he's also better on the faceoff, so he's probably taking the faceoffs for that line anyway. However they want to work it, I mean, it's whatever. It's fine. It's the way it's written. I just really care how it actually plays out on the ice. And then the fourth line, Lazar, McLeod, Bastian, has looked good, and I think it will continue. And the defensive pairings have stayed consistent, and I think have been doing quite well. I would like to see a bit more oomph out of Marino and Ball, at least being just absolute defensive stalwarts would be great. But as long as they break even, that's really what I care for, because the Nemec line and the Luke lines should be able to put play in the right direction. As far as which goalie we'll see, I thought both have had pretty good outings recently. Akira, I think, has had a better stretch of play recently, so I probably would like to see him get the start here, but they're really going to want to get VTech rolling, so we'll see how that, they decide to want to play that out. But yeah, that really covers it for this one. The biggest thing, obviously, is the injuries for the Bruins. Their power play is top 10, but towards the bottom of that, it might even have just moved outside of top 10 after last night. I'm not sure, but right in that range. Again, top PK. Their goalies are insane. They don't absolutely bleed chances 5-on-5 or anything, but overall, they have not been that strong of a team, even when healthy. So the fact that they are injured now, this is kind of our opportunity where we were injured and we kind of saw that affect our play. Well, they're missing their 1C. Yes, it's Zacha. It's not the most, top flight 1C in the entire league, but still their 1C. Lines are going to be shaken up. Their top defenseman's out. This is a game we got to take advantage of, but their goalies could absolutely steal it, and they have a scoring talent between Pasta and Marchand to absolutely make it interesting, if not brutal in some instances where they are not going to need a ton of chances to put the puck in the back of the net. I think that really covers it. I mean, we've been playing fairly well lately. Holla being back should be a huge boon. We saw how this team played when him and Nico have both been back in the lineup to really shore up the top nine centering or at least defensive responsibilities coming from the forwards. Timo, really, it's because can they get this Jack line really humming again? I think is the biggest piece. We know what the Nico line's been doing, but can we get that Jack line full tilt again? 3 games in a row with no point for Jack, the longest of the season when he's been healthy, obviously. So if he can get some points rolling in this one, get Timo some, those two get rolling again, it's going to be a really great rest of the month, I think. Because after this one, it is a good stretch of games that are very winnable. Flyers matchup coming up, that should be pretty pivotal. Uh, Columbus game, et cetera, et cetera. Revenge match against Detroit. Lots of good ones coming up. This is probably the hardest of all of them. But again, looking at that 5-on-5 play and taking injuries into account, it's not the scariest team out there. It really is not. It's their goalies that are doing all that heavy lifting. So can we find a way to get past that with our elite scoring talent up and down the lineup? I think so. Gonna go ahead and call it here for this one, guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning as always and forever. Let's go down.